comic book junkies? It's the Frog Queen here, and I'm back with another rendition, I should say, episode of, what I'm currently reading. Look, I already forgot. Jeez, this is what happens when I don't, script things. I just blank. But let's just move on with the video. I'm actually reading a whole bunch of different stuff. I've got some here, I've got some over here. We'll start with the pile you can't see. How about that? So I don't think I told you already that I've been reading this series. I did tell you that I was reading. It's called To Your Eternity. It's a really great manga series about a shape-shifting creature and the kind of trials and tribulations they go through, and it deals a lot with questions of morality and stuff like that. And there's a constant rotation of new characters, which keeps things quite interesting without feeling that they're just introducing them to keep the story moving along. Anyway, it's kind of the focus of the story, actually. But really enjoying that. I've just read number 4 a little bit ago. Of course, my favorite, Unnatural, which I did a video on. Big fan. I just picked up the first 2 trades for Free Comic Book Day. They had a really good deal on trades at my local comic book store called Monster Comic Lounge. And so I got these 2 for a really good deal. I think they were like $10 each or something. Really excellent. And I just got issue 10, I believe it is, of this. So moving right along with Unnatural, which is probably still my favorite series right now, if I'm perfectly honest with you. I'm trying to catch up on Paper Girls, so I read 3 and 4. I realize 5 has been released. I still have to get it. So we'll get there, but I'm steadily catching up, and it's getting more and more interesting, as things go on. I read the first 2 trades last year, so it's I'm really behind. I'm binging a bit. I'm doing a bit of that binge reading stuff that everybody's so fond of. Of course, Faithless. This is Brian Azzarello's comic book series. Let me see if the glare gets off that. The covers are, of course, by Paul Pope, the wonderful Paul Pope. And we've got Maria Lovett, of course, who I'm a very big fan of. I've done lots on her work. Of course, she had that wonderful, I believe it was Black Mask comic called There's Nothing There. And she's just so fantastic and fabulous. She really is one of the new masters. Very avant-garde in my opinion, but whatever, it's just my opinion, right? Oh my gosh, I just love her. I love her, love her, love her. See if you can see that without the glare. So hard to do, right? So loving that. Of course, this is issue 2, but I've been reading Little Bird. Fantastic. I already have my video on Little Bird. Link in the description below. You can check that out. I should probably do a follow-up video on this series when it's finished. Just this series as a whole. I've been liking those kinds of videos more. Then we've got, Heavy Liquid, which is the video that I'm currently working on, which is one of my longer videos, which you'll see is why you should read Paul Pope's Heavy Liquid, which this is the Vertigo edition. The Image edition comes out this month, which is why I'm doing, it's the 20th anniversary, so that's why I'm doing a video on it, because I just love this book, and it means so much to me, and I have something very special in mind for that video coming out, so hopefully it'll be out this week. I'm, of course, trying to catch up on Saga. I kind of I didn't cover Saga much because basically everybody talks about it. And I kind of got to the point where I was like, everybody talks about this. Why should I? I mean, yeah, it's a great fun series, but I just didn't really feel the need to do a big thing about it. Every time I meet somebody who kind of vaguely is into comics, it's the first comic they mention if they're not talking about Marvel or DC comics, so I'm just kind of I don't really want to cover Saga. I mean, it's enjoyable to binge read, but I don't pick it up every month. It's just not one of those books for me. It is definitely a binger. I think it is designed to be read monthly. It is written in that way that it gives a little bit to the reader every month, but I just don't have the desire to read it like that, like I do with other books. And yeah, I am perched very precariously right now because my microphone is down here. Since I changed a bunch of stuff around in my recording area, basically it's impossible to do a recording this way that's not a narration and not have a big hum or a bunch of sound in the background, because this room is just simply not 100% soundproof, nor can I make it that way because it's my living room. I have an apartment, so, I just don't have all the means to make a perfectly good soundproof area. And really, I do know how to soundproof things. I could make a little, cube, basically, but I just don't have the desire to do that. Where would I put it? There's these challenges that I just, if I was a very big YouTuber and I was making money off YouTube, then sure, I could have a recording area. So yeah, please be kind when you're leaving comments about my sound. I'm not a big YouTuber. I have pretty shitty recording software that only allows me to cut down a fraction of the hum. So I just try my very best with what I've got to work with. You could always support me on Patreon, though, if you feel the need to criticize my sound and you want me to do better. Then I can buy new things. But until then, I'm just going to do the best with what very little I have to work with. Patreon, by the way, I don't really have any Patreons because I haven't been pushing it whatsoever. Maybe I should. I think there's a link on my channel and the banner there somewhere. I am going to be posting vlog style stuff on my Patreon. Just, even though I don't have Patreons, it'll be there and people can check it out. It's just kind of like another avenue for people to get to know me that's not YouTube, and then I don't have to do big production stuff or edit things together like I do with some of my comic book review videos. Anyway, lastly, I think, I'm sure there's other things I've been reading. Oh, yeah, because I've got a whole bunch of stuff digitally that I'm reading. I will check my phone. So I've got a list of stuff that I've just been going over. So one of the other series that I've got on the go here is Gogor. Number 2 comes out this week, Gogor number 2, and it's an Image Comics, and it's kind of interesting. I can put some artwork, the cover right here, so you can see it. It's a fantasy, not a high fantasy. It's more like sci-fi, so think like something that might fit well in Heavy Metal magazine. Although it does seem very childish, it doesn't seem like something, so far that I can remember, like something that would belong in Heavy Metal. I think it is an all ages book, if I'm not mistaken. I'll double check. The other one I've been reading is Punk Mambo, which is by Cullen Bunn, which is a kind of a different Cullen Bunn book, actually, and it's on Valiant Comics. He's so into horror, and yes, there's horror themes and violence in Punk Mambo, and magic and all that kind of stuff in that world, but it does seem like a slightly different book for him, in my opinion. And we know that he's written Deadpool and stuff for years, and you know how much I love Night of the Living Deadpool, that particular series, with my girl, Nicole Varilla, with her amazing artwork, but I do find this to be like a very different book for him, so that could be something that we could talk about too. I finished Goodnight Pun Pun. Oh my god, it tore up my soul. I was having like a slight existential crisis afterwards, as you do when you read the most depressing manga in the world. Yeah. I've been reading Game of Thrones. I have this thing where I don't want to finish the last book, so I just pick away at it slowly. Like literally, very, very slowly. So I'm like maybe halfway through the last book, and every now and then I read another chapter, and I don't want to run out of Game of Thrones. This was the thing. And so I didn't read book 5 for like 8 years, and then finally I was like, the next book may never come out. I mean, it's slated, we've gotten rumors that it'll come out in 2020, the summer of 2020, but I mean, regardless. Until then, I'll just pick away at the book. I know I will run out of Game of Thrones. We all will. Nothing to be done about that. Of course, Monstrous. Still reading Monstrous. Fantastic book. If you haven't watched my video. God. Coffee. 1 second. Save me. Okay, if you haven't, check out my video on Monstrous, on why you should read Monstrous, why everyone should read Monstrous. It's this wonderful high fantasy book. It's on Image Comics, with Image Comics, published by Image Comics. And yeah, I think you'd really like it. Check out the video. It's about like 10-12 minutes long. And I make my argument for why you should read it. Lastly, the other day I picked up V for Vendetta. I mean, I've read this before. I've had this actual trade for years, but I decided to reread V for Vendetta because I was considering doing it as part of like my comic book nostalgia on why you should read it. Haven't decided yet if I really want to make a video on it or not. I love it. It's great. I love Alan Moore. But I don't know if I really have much to add to the conversation other than the differences between the movie and the book, which isn't much of a conversation for me. I don't really give a shit. And other than that, yeah, I'm not really sure if I have a solid argument to make on this book. But I'm enjoying reading it, again, nonetheless. And I think that's it from me. As always, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I use Instagram all the time. I don't use Twitter that much. Maybe like I'm on it, pop in and out of it once or twice a day. But I'm on Instagram all the time. So I'm always posting updates on what I'm reading, what I'm doing in my personal life, and what I'm eating. Plus my health updates, as I have a whole bunch of that stuff. Scary. But yeah, please feel free to follow me on social media. I am on Facebook as well as the Frog Queen. And until next time, read something good. Oh, and thank you to all my new subscribers. That's awesome. I love having new subscribers. I haven't had any in a long time, so thank you. That's wicked. I hope you stick around, and I hope you like the videos. See ya.